All right, boys and girls, today we're going to be learning how to do a pumpkin zentangle. That means we're going to be drawing a pumpkin and we're going to be using a bingo dauber filled with India ink. It'll look just like this. We're going to draw our pumpkin lines, and each different section will get a different design, as a different zentangle design. And we have a bunch of different things we can use to color this in when it's finished. Some people might want to leave them black and white. You might want to color them with oil pastels, or we could even use some tempera cakes to paint. Depending on our class and the amount of time, we might be painting and then doing designs on top of that. So we're going to be flexible, but this is what it'll look like when it's done. Okay, I'll zoom in so you guys can see. Lots of different designs. We have a zigzag. We have the circles that get bigger and bigger. We have all the tiny different circles, the little baby rainbows, another wavy line, a double line, and a dotted line. This one up here is a little bit hard to see, but that one was little tiny dots. So I'll have to redo that one with Sharpie. So I want to show you how to draw the pumpkin now, so pay attention. So with the bingo dauber, it's really important that you don't ever squeeze this, okay? It's a paint marker. So if you have a little paper towel, it's a good idea for you to test this on the paper towel. My paper towel had a little bit of water there. So I'm just gonna turn this upside down and push a couple times. And then I can see that it's making a mark. I'm not squeezing it, I'm not shaking it. You don't need a lot of pressure with this. And if you see, it will bleed through. So if we have a thin paper, we could have some paper bleeding through. So the paper I'm using today is a little bit thin, so it could bleed through to the other side. The first thing we're gonna be doing is the middle section of our pumpkin. So this is going to be the first shape here. You need to draw your shapes big enough that you can design inside of them. I'll do another one on this side, another one on this side, and maybe even one more. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? I'm gonna add another one on this edge here. Again. And if you really want to go all the way out to the edge, you can. I don't have a ton of space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 looks like that's about as much as I can get. Then you can flip it over. If you have a little bit more space at the top or the bottom, you can draw a quick little stem. It can be short, it doesn't have to be very big. So there's the pumpkin shape right there. I'm gonna be showing you a couple other shapes because we're using this video not only for 5th grade, but we're using it for 4th grade and the 3rd graders as well. So 4th graders, let's talk about your project real quick. 4th grade, you guys are gonna be doing a zentangle branch. It's gonna have a wiggly line across with little leaves on both sides. The leaves are gonna match up. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 with a total of 8, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to draw that one. The same process, you can get your little bingo dauber. Remember, don't shake it, don't squeeze it. And we might even draw ours with pencil first, but this is what it's gonna look like. All the way across, you can do diagonal line. Okay, if you need to go over it one more time, you can. Sometimes the bingo daubers get a little streaky. And if you wanna start with a small one, you can do that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna try to get all of them on today. I like to make them bigger as it gets farther down the branch, but you don't have to. This one is gonna be so big, it's gonna go off the edge of the paper a little bit. And we might trace this with pencil just so that you have the opportunity to erase any mistakes. So there we have our branch. 8 leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 is the number we need. All right, 4th grade, that one is yours. Now for my 3rd graders, we are going to be doing a zentangle leaf. 1 leaf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can probably get 12 sections in there. I think you guys can do this. we're gonna use our paper and make it vertical. So I have my little paint marker here. Again, we might practice with pencil first. I'm gonna draw the really big shape. You can see it was a little bit streaky, so I'm gonna go over that again and maybe just a little bit slower this time. And here we go, all the way to the other side. All right, and I'm gonna split that right down the center. Again, if it's streaky, feel free to go over it again. Now I'm gonna divide up the sections. I want the angles to be the same. So if I do one on the other side, like on the right, I'm gonna do the same thing to the left. And I think just one more will look good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that gives me 12 sections there. There is my leaf, okay? So very simple oval shape. We're gonna put some designs inside of these. I'm gonna teach them to you one at a time. I've got my little pumpkin here for my 5th graders and my little branch here for my 4th graders. Since I have my leaf right here and it's a little bit wet, I'm gonna just go with this pumpkin. This one feels a little bit on the dry side. So the bingo daubers filled with India ink, they dry pretty fast. And I'm gonna show you, we're gonna use both types of permanent marker. You guys should have 2 for this project. We have this fine point one, okay? Right here, it's perfect for drawing skinny, tiny little lines. And then the regular marker tip, that's just a regular black marker. It's important that you use permanent markers for this because if you use a Crayola or a water-based marker, if these get wet, that marker will smear. India ink is able to get wet and it does not smear, so it will not bother it. So let's go ahead and look at some of the different Zentangle designs we're gonna learn today. All right, one of the first ones that I'm gonna teach you, I'm gonna start on this side of the pumpkin and I'm gonna work my way across. It's pretty easy. It's going to be just a simple zigzag. So if you want to do a zigzag that takes up the entire area, you could do one big one. Back and forth, a zigzag line, kind of looks like mountains. And remember, Zentangles are just a repeated pattern, okay? I have this Zentangles book that we've looked at. Zentangles are just fun little doodles that have patterns that repeat, okay? So a lot of adults use them, like an adult coloring book. Okay, this might be kind of tricky for kindergartners, that's why I'm doing it with 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I think you guys can do this. So I think this is a good one to start with. It's pretty simple. If you want to make this a little bit more complicated, you can add tiny little triangles on either side. And then you're going to get a really cool zigzag. All the way down. To where you only will probably have space to make like a little dot. Okay, there's our zigzag. The next one I'm going to show you is also super easy. It's a circle with another circle around it and another circle around it. And at this point, kids are like, oh my goodness, Mrs. Hopkins, that looks like a target. Yes, it does. When you get to where it fills up the entire space and it's touching both sides, you can't keep going around as a circle. You just have to imagine that the circle gets bigger. So you'd have rings that bend up towards the top. And I'm just using the regular Sharpie for this, but you could use either pen that you'd like. And then underneath they bend down. And we'll do a variety of lines today. Right? The next one is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's tiny little circles. I'm gonna switch up the pen for this one. I'm gonna go over to the extra fine point, ultra fine point if you want to be fancy with it. So you can do tiny little circles. This one's a little bit more time consuming, but it can make a big impact. The goal with this one is to fill up all the space, all the space. So that means if I'm getting really close, I'm filling up every space with a circle. And you can do different size circles. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and fill up the entire space, but I'm going to speed that up so it goes a little bit faster. All right, so that's how you'd fill in all the space for those circles. The next one I'm going to show you is baby rainbows. Okay, you start in the corner somewhere. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Then you find another corner to start in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same thing, repeated pattern, because that's what a zentangle is. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that pattern's gonna move all the way up, okay? So I'll go ahead and fill that in for you now. And so that's what I call baby rainbows. A couple more I'll show you today. I'll go with like a wavy line, just a simple wavy line. And that's just, ooh, come on marker, wake up. There we go. Wavy back and forth. Some people call this a bumpy line. It does not matter to me, whatever you call it. Just know that it's not a straight line. And I leave a space between, that's about even. The key to Zentangles is trying to be about the same for every part of your pattern. And then I'm gonna do a line underneath so you'd only see part of it. And I keep peeking back up at my camera to make sure that you guys can see this okay. And I like to see a variety of different types of lines, so it really helps when you're using 2 types of Sharpies. We're using a very thin pen tip for some of our lines, and then the broad tip. I switched out markers in case you didn't know. Mine was getting a little bit on the dry side. Now I'm gonna do one that is a combination. So I'll take my permanent marker and I'm just gonna draw a nice horizontal line here. And some of you have this brand of marker. I ordered these from Amazon and they seem to be doing okay. Some of you might have an actual Sharpie. So for this Zentangle here, I'm trying to make the spacing about the same, but I'm doing a nice thick, bold, horizontal line or stripe. And it just looks a little bit fancy when you take the other Sharpie, and I'll zoom in so you can see. And you just either go above or below it, just one time. And you're basically kind of making it look like there is a 3D line here. It kind of adds like a shadow to it. So that's pretty cool. You could leave it just like that, or you could add some stuff in the spaces in between. And the last one is just gonna be a simple dot, okay? And I can just press with my marker and just let it do its own thing. Notice you're not hearing any sound when my marker does this. Listen. You're not hearing this sound. If your marker is making a sound like that when you are pressing into it, you're gonna be hurting your marker, and I will not be giving you a replacement, okay? We need to take care of our art supplies. Now, if you have more sections in your pumpkin than I do, feel free to do your own Zentangle. You can do something different if you want. There's another one that I haven't had a chance to show you, but maybe we can show it live in class. It's the baby cinnamon bun swirl. I might have one little space I can show you in this little section here. So for my dotted line, I'm leaving a space here, and I'm just keeping them in a nice row. Taking my time. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Zentangles, you are not drawing with a pencil first, okay? And if you had room, you could do a third one on the outside, but I don't really have the room. We don't draw pencil first for these are drawn right with a Sharpie. So this one is what I like to call baby cinnamon bun swirl, and I'll show really close. I'm just gonna do in this little section right here. So a tiny circle that swirls in on itself, and another one that swirls in on itself. It's very similar to how we leave no spaces in between on this one, except that it's swirly. You can do different sizes, and they don't have to be perfect circles. If some of them are more of an oval, that's okay. And you can do a Zentangle with anything that you want. We just have a pumpkin here as our 5th grade example, but these patterns can be on any of the projects. No matter if you're doing the little branch, you have 8 designs there, or if you're doing the leaf, okay? And since the leaf does have a few more, maybe we'll come up with some extra designs here. So bonus designs on the leaf. One that's really easy, and that's just a different type of line, is you're just gonna do a watery line. Ooh. Just a scalloped line there. Another one that's very similar to this, because I'll do it in a different section, is a scale. So you do a line of bumps and you connect them. Tops to top. I can go a little bit faster because this is one I've practiced a lot. The more you practice Zentangles, the faster you're going to be able to do it. And you can see that the patterns just repeat. I'll show you a couple more, and we can look at more of them in class too. And some of them are a little bit harder to see because they were painted over. Like, I think we might be painting and drawing on top later. This one here is just little dots with empty dots and baby dots. This one here is pretty easy. It's a fun little one I can show you. That's with a different type of marker, and it works nice in small spaces. So I'll show it to you right up here. It's like a little hatching one. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4. So you make like a little box. Then you go the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Vertical, 1, 2, 3, 4. Horizontal, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll get really close so you guys can really see, and I'll probably speed this up just a bit. So no matter if you're on the leaf or the pumpkin or you're on the branch, notice the branch, the background is what gets color, not the actual leaves. They all look wonderful, and they're all a nice fun project for fall or really any time of the year, okay? Some of the classes will start with our designs on white and we'll end up coloring on top of them. Some classes we might do the color first and then draw on top later. If we're coloring with oil pastel, we're gonna do the color after we draw, and then we'll have to do oil pastel really lightly because it's very hard. You can't really draw a Sharpie on top of oil pastel. So we might change a few things that we do in class, but these are our 3 basic shapes for 3rd, for 4th, and for 5th grade. And those are some Zentangles to give you guys some ideas. All right, let's have a little fun with Zentangles.